today I am joined by the lovely Tessa Kelly, also known as London Paleo Girl on Instagram. She is a mummy blogger. She is mummy to Clara, who is, how old's Clara now, Tessa?
So she's 9 months.
Oh, no, and she's absolutely gorgeous. She's one of those babies that is really gorgeous, because when I look back at pictures of Cooper, I was like, I thought he was really cute, but actually, no, he wasn't really.
He was.
But Clara is just gorgeous. She's just got the most amazing eyes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, she's got these bright blue eyes, and Adam and I, we both don't have blue eyes. Is she our child?
Yeah, no, it's so funny when they've got features and you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, we were looking at some photos yesterday, and they were just not such a great angle, and we were like, oh, I've got to save that for 18th birthday and get those photos out. She's a little prophet.
So how has mummy life been? How has the first 9 months been?
I think all probably new parents as well would say this, but I think everyone would agree that having having this lockdown and with COVID and being a new mum anyway, and I guess having this kind of, I think when we started initially, and so she was born in January, and we came back from the hospital, and they actually said at the time there's the neurovirus outbreak on the floor above, and right, okay, so because I had a cesarean, we left kind of the next day when as soon as they said you're fine to go, I was like, right, let's get out of here. So I think when we came, we had an initial bit of people midwives coming around to the house, and after that it was kind of right, COVID, you're on your own a bit. And we kind of weren't having such regular visits and everything like that, and I can't even imagine for parents now. I think they've cut back even more on kind of that sort of time together. So it's really difficult, because kind of I have this baby, and what am I doing kind of thing. There's only so many ways that you on your own can entertain a child as well, isn't there? Of any age. It gets to the point where it's you're bored, I'm bored. Yeah.
Not much. There's only so many times I can waggle a bit of ribbon in your face, or
and
do tummy time.
As well, it's it was just being in the house. Yesterday, actually, it was just raining all day, and you just realise just going out and having getting that walk and everything, how much of a difference it makes. But yeah, it's been the most. I feel like it's been the best year, because I've got her, but then also it feels like the most strangest, difficult. Some days don't really know how to feel, what's normal, all these kind of things go through your head. And Google, I think, is just, I'd love to see a recording of my Google of the last 9 months. What does this mean? What's this? So I'm sure a lot of it is just kind of the new parenting. But I think, when we've had to do a couple of hospital visits and not having Adam there and stuff, I guess it's just that kind of, I feel like I've got really resilient actually as well, and I do feel like I'm such a different person. I can't believe loads of these things that would have fazed me thinking about it last year. I'd be like, oh, there's no way I could deal with that, or I couldn't do that, and you kind of think, oh wow, yeah. You do.
I've got through this. We're going to be a generation of really, really strong humans, aren't we? I think if we get through this, we're just going to be anything else. We're just going to be oh, it's fine, no problem.
Exactly. And I said to Adam, if we're lucky to have another one, I feel like it's going to feel such a breeze, because it's just going to be so. It's going to be so, I guess, normal.
Now, your pregnancy was a little bit different, because you had a little Breech baby in there, didn't you?
I did. I did.
At what point did you find this out?
So I think it was about 30 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. I think it was around that sort of time.
And did she turn? So was she the right way prior to that?
I think she was maybe around kind of the 26. I'm trying to think. It just feels like it's so long when you're pregnant. Then you look back and you're what week was what?
I know. It's when somebody says, when did they stop breastfeeding, or when you're God, I can't remember any of these.
Yeah.
No.
I remember. So she was kind of, I think, still moving, and then it got to a point where they were oh no, I think she is. And then I think I paid for a few extra scans, because I was I just want to kind of see. And she was just not really showing any sign of moving, which I guess was a bit for me, I think that was probably my hardest part of the pregnancy, where people, they're saying like, oh, first trimester, were you kind of scared, you worried? And I think I took so much of it in my stride and tried to stay kind of as relaxed, as calm as possible. And I think it got to that point where I was just like, okay, this all feels very like out of my control now. And I was someone who was like, I was even considering a home birth. I wanted to do everything kind of, like I went to see, when we moved to the new area, I went to see kind of the nice kind of, I had to have like a water birth, and it didn't really feel like a hospital, because I was so petrified of hospitals for so long. I'd never been into hospital. And I was so scared of them that I was like, oh, this birthing centre is lovely because it's like a wing off the hospital, and it's got this, double bed, and it looks amazing. And I think I'd kind of got myself so kind of geared up that was the birth I was having. And I think in my head, I was like, oh, even though she's still got sort of all these weeks to turn and everything. And then as the weeks went on and I have more scans and the appointments, I'm like, oh no, she still is. That I kind of was just like, oh, okay. And it really did when I remember having the scan, and it was quite close at this point, and she said, right, you've kind of got these options. You can either have a breech birth, which would have to be with a midwife that's like specially trained in delivering that way, but the lady said, it's not personally something that I would recommend. The safest way would be a cesarean. And I was actually born cesarean. And
you?
And Mum said, it was a really amazing. It was a planned cesarean because I was breech as well, and she was like, it was amazing. And I was like, oh, just not going to listen to it. I remember our NCT when we were going in like in the antenatal classes, and they said, breech delivery, this is the setup. You'll have like 10 people in the room. And Adam said I was just switched off, and he was just like, you've got to be open to it. And I was like, no way. I was like, no way am I having a cesarean birth. Like, this is just really, I don't need to listen to this bit.
It's funny, isn't it? You get set in your ways with things.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so I guess it was, and I remember being in there and I would just burst. I couldn't stop crying. And I was so upset about it when I found out.
When they told you that she was breech?
Yes. So in the scan, and she was just like, look, I'm it's 90% sure she is going to turn. They did actually say another option, which was this, it's an EC, what's the saying? It's basically where they manipulate the baby round.
Oh, yeah.
The turning. It's an EC, I can't even remember what.
I know it's the manipulation, isn't it, of the tummy, and they try and like physically move the baby, don't they, by pushing on your tummy.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'd never heard of this, and I'm quite a believer in sort of fate and things happening for a reason, all this stuff. So I was I was having my hair done, and the lady was pregnant as well, and she said, and we were just generally chatting, and she said, I've kind of been so relaxed about it, but I heard this awful story. This baby had the manipulation, and kind of was like saying all this stuff, and it was really weird because it happens, so much throughout the day. I'm sure hundreds of people are having this done, but it was just something that she said about this story that made me go, okay, I've never heard about this before. Until I was told by the midwife about this was an option. You're telling me about it. Why are you telling me about it when it's something that... And I cancelled it. So I was going to give it a go. And I was meant to have it on the Monday. And I cancelled it. I didn't have it done.
Do you know, I honestly don't know why people think that they can tell scary stories to pregnant women. Yeah, and that it's going to be okay. And that pregnant woman's not going to go away and absolutely freak out.
Yeah. But it was interesting because she didn't know that I was going to have it done. What she was telling me though.
Oh, did she not?
Yeah. So she didn't know. But no, you're so right. So many people do that. But she was so right that So as in like she was telling me, but she didn't know that. And I was like, it's not very common to have that done. But the fact you're telling me, I was like, I'm taking this as a sign from the story you've told me to not have it done. And when I told her, I was like, oh, that's what I'm booked in for Monday. And she was like, what? Really? She was like, I'd never heard about it. And I was like, nor had I. So anyway, I mean, I didn't go for that. I was like, right, now I've got 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was, to get my head around the cesarean birth. And I did. And it was like, and when I had got my head around it, I remember still at the baby shower, it was something I just kind of found out about then. And I was like, I don't really want to talk about it. I'm still sort of processing it. And it's just like, it still felt quite raw. like a week after that, I then was like, I'm getting more into like my hypnobirthing. I was having reflexology from this lady at the time who was all about this like white light and kind of getting in this like headspace.
Yeah.
And she was reading all these scripts and I started listening to them, and my whole mentality, like I'm not very like woohoo or anything like that, but it was just through this, it honestly put me in the most amazing headspace that when
was that in terms of being prepared for it and kind of accepting it?
It was basically like, so it was, again, this sounds so woohoo and it's so not me, which is just, it's mad that it's coming out of my mouth. But
it's funny the things you do though when you're pregnant. You're like, okay, I'll give this a go. Yeah, maybe I'll try
exactly.
that.
Yeah. And it's basically like this. She'd read these scripts when she was doing the reflexology, and it was basically this white. I think if you just put into like YouTube like white light sound or whatever, it should come down. But it was kind of, this script was saying how that the baby is sort of, you know, it's just this light is shining over you, and it's basically going to kind of have the, like the baby's going to know, and it's going to have this like basically a really positive birth kind of thing. You can do it with whatever birth you have, but it's like this kind of light shining down on you, this really powerful light that is just taking control. So you're in the right headspace to deal with whatever's happening. Yeah. And yeah, it sounds so weird when I say it now.
Is it almost like something watching over you type thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like this sort of watching over you, and I remembered that when I then went into the theatre and I was listening to it on my, so we kind of just before we got into the hospital in the morning, and obviously they're like, you know, your whatever slot, and it was this time, and I just kept listening to it. So I just stayed really like in this zone.
Yeah.
And I was listening to sound, and then obviously there's a few other kind of, you know, sort of like more meditational, like calming music and things like that. Then when they were doing the procedure, I had this in my head that I was like having this like really strong light that was just really powerful, and was sort of like everything was sort of just happening, and I can't explain because it feels like an out of body experience. Like it's so, like I look back to it now and I just think like I'm so glad I did that, because it just I was so calm and so relaxed, and for me it was like it wasn't me that was that, because I'm not that person. Like I'm not
it's
super
funny,
calm,
isn't it?
I'm a worrier.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, how like just a simple technique, like, you know, whatever it was you listen. So what did you say it was called? White light?
White light, yeah.
For anyone that would like to, you know, maybe
so the
look
lady
at
I
it.
had, she was like a more of a pregnancy sort of, I think she's like a fertility reflexologist sort of specialist. And then she had this white light script, which obviously she had kind of, at the time when we were doing it, she was sort of, you know, she'd kind of read the script of sort of what was sort of going on, so whether it was pregnancy, and then she kind of told me about it. That I think I have shared it on my blog, but I can give you the link as well for anyone that's interested. But you know, for whatever birth you have, it just shows that having this positive and this kind of this mindset is so powerful, that it's kind of what's in your head, your body just sort of can just deal with it. Just
goes with it.
Yeah. And I think that's probably like the best advice to everyone is, I think, just I kind of, you know, I guess from experience to say, don't go in with that narrow mind, like be very open to everything.
Well, thank you so much for being lovely and honest and sharing your story with us, Tessa.
Thank you, my lovely. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.